Welcome to Still Serving, the VFW podcast, the official podcast of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And now, from the VFW Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., here's your host, Rob Couture.
And welcome to Still Serving. I'm your host, Rob Couture.
And I'm Brittany Dymond Murray.
And as you could tell, we are not in the studio. You may have remembered from the last time we did the podcast, we had talked to you about our move. Well, that is for sure happening. I went and checked out our new spot, which is kind of a stone's throw away from where the Washington office building is.
Super close.
It's not set up, Brittany. Sorry.
That's quite all right. Now I'm not alone in this remote world.
You are not alone in this remote world. Thankfully, you are the expert of all things technology. So we're able to bring this still to our audience, information and news that they need to learn from the Washington, D.C. office. So, so we're moving the building. It's going to be under renovation. So in the future, you may see more of these sort of things where we're doing virtual podcasts completely. And then if I can get the studio up and running, in our temporary spot, we can do that too. So a hybrid. We are flexible. We have the technology. We can do these sort of things.
What do they say? Semper Gumby?
Yeah, Semper Gumby.
Always flexible.
Very good. I will say, though, we don't have anybody, since we're not in the studio, we don't have anybody else with us, so we don't have a quorum, so to speak.
We sure don't. That means we don't have to follow any rules.
We don't have to follow any rules. So
Zero.
What do we have for today?
All right, so this is a really interesting episode, and this move to a virtual hybrid format is kind of affording us some interesting opportunities, so it's pretty exciting. So here's my makeshift whiteboard, as we have in the studio. So, okay.
Upgrade.
So, yes, upgrade. I feel like that's from a movie. So yes, we did two segments. We're doing two segments, sorry. And the first one is going to be about the shutdown and the current state of affairs with service members and their families. And so we're speaking with the 16th Sergeant Major of the Army, Tony Grinston, who is now the CEO at Army Emergency Relief.
That's right.
And then our very own Joy Craig, who is with our National Legislative Service, and she covers our Service Member Affairs portfolio. So we'll be speaking with them. And then we're going to shift over to speaking about veteran hikes, and which is really exciting because we have ties with two really amazing organizations called Irreverent Warriors and the Allied Forces Foundation. So we're going to be speaking with Dr. Kelly Brown, who is the chair of the board of directors for Allied Forces Foundation, as well as Kimberly Pond, who is Irreverent Warriors operational support coordinator. So two really awesome conversations we have upcoming for this episode, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, really great. And, it's kind of the through line as I was talking about it. We're doing these things together. So one thing about the military, whatever your hardships are, when it comes to tough things like being deployed, being away from family, just training, or even a ruck march, that sort of thing. Doing it together always makes it better. So knowing that you have people around you, support around you, whatever you're going through. I mean, we're going through the 20 days of the shutdown.
I know. Look, we're on day 21.
Day 21, and when this airs, it'll probably be day 24, 25,
yes.
I think. Day 25.
Math.
I mean,
mental math has never been my
all
strong
fingers
suit.
And toes and everything else crossed that, maybe between then and that, when this airs, that it actually have the government back opening and running again.
I sincerely hope so.
Yeah, it makes it really difficult for a lot, especially the uncertainty of not having that paycheck. So it is a really important conversation. And, SMA Grinston, he's going to, I'm sure, help alleviate some of those fears and knowing that letting family members know that there's support out there. So, okay. So that's great.
So it is great. So I just want to jump in here is that, when I was in the National Legislative Service for VFW, I had seen Sergeant Major Grinston from afar, because I was tuned into the hearings and stuff that he would speak at, and all of the other leaders from the other services. So I've always known him as from the outside as a really great person. He seemed to be always very attentive to the needs of service members and their families. So I'm really excited about this conversation with him. Yeah. Because I've never had an opportunity to have a one-on-one. And so in his new role, I'm also especially excited to hear about what the great things they're doing at Army Emergency Relief to support soldiers and their families. So that's going to be great. And I feel like this is going to be a really well-rounded episode because I feel like this episode is all about support for service members, and veterans, and families,
right,
in some way, shape, or form, whether it's financial, whether we're talking about advocacy for legislative policies to improve the quality of life and resources for service members and families, or camaraderie building, both during and after service, and what that looks like. So the Allied Forces Foundation, I'd never known about them until you told me about them.
Yeah.
And what I really like about that is how they're international. So we have Irreverent Warriors that focuses kind of internally on, American U.S. veterans and building camaraderie and, support after service. And also currently serving folks can also support in those hikes, or participate in those hikes rather. Allied Forces Foundation is a little bit different from my understanding, and it's an international component. Yeah. So, I would love to participate in one of their hikes and I'm excited about this conversation with her because there's so much, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity. There's the people that I supported in Afghanistan were all different nationalities.
Right.
I spoke with them on the phone, making sure that our unit was supporting them in the way they needed. And that was it. And it was like, I spoke with them maybe, maybe once, maybe a handful of times, depending on how often our unit provided them support. And that was it. And so I never had an opportunity to connect with any of our allies overseas. It was just, we went, did the mission, and came home. And it's like we never got a chance to even have like a cup of coffee or have a conversation. It was just all operational all the time. And so I'm really excited about this podcast and even this hybrid format and the possibilities that it brings. So that's my piece.
Yeah, I agree with you. My first time with international partners, if you will, when I was in uniform was back in 97 to 98 when I was in Korea, and we had the augmentees, the United States Army. And they were there to support us. They spoke English and made it a lot easier, of course, for us Americans to deal with them. So that was my first, foray into the veteran space internationally. Really, I think it came home was when I was in Kosovo in 2000, 2001, and we would go along with the Polish-Ukrainian battalion that was there doing the peacekeeping mission. And I did a story on them when they were they allowed their moms to come visit them in Kosovo, which is a wild thing.
Really?
And to see that their families were going through the same thing that my family was going through, missing us. And it was like, wow, okay. So, and these are our partners and they're in this together, you know what I mean? As NATO. And then of course in Afghanistan, I served with Canadians and Brits and, got really close to a lot of them. And Aussies, and it was just a really great time. So it's a great conversation to have. My, learning about Irreverent Warrior was actually, through you and through VFW. I didn't know anything about Irreverent Warrior until you said, because you have done ruck marches and go rucks and other things like that, where that kind of community is there. So you knew about Irreverent Warrior. I didn't know about that. So yeah, again, like you, I'm excited for this podcast. So what do you say? We get into it.
Yeah, let's jump into it. Let's bring the first folks into our room, into our studio.
Okay. Here we go.
All right. Awesome. See you over there.
And welcome to this segment of VFW's podcast where we're focusing in on the government shutdown. Brittany, we are in day 20 of this government shutdown. And I tell you, it has been rather nerve-wracking for a lot of people in the Washington, D.C. area. So joining us in this segment, we brought on the 16th Sergeant Major of the Army, now the CEO of Army Emergency Relief, SMA Tony Grinston, and from the VFW's Washington, D.C. office, Joy Craig, who is an Associate Director of National Legislative Service, to kind of talk about the breadth of how this goes with regards to legislation and national security and all of our people in service. So thank you all for being here. SMA Grinston, let's start with you. First of all, congratulations. I know it's been 2 years. I served under you. I was still in the military in 2020, and you were my SMA. But to be the first enlisted service member to head up AER is quite an accomplishment, and I just want to give you kudos for that, because who better than you?
Yeah, Rob, thanks for having me. And I truly do love my job. I'm not sure why it took 83 years or maybe 81 to get enlisted over here, but I'm extremely excited to do this job, and I get to help soldiers every day. So I look forward to the conversations. But it's been a very rewarding give back kind of job for the last 2 years, and I'm very lucky to be here.
Yeah, I tell you, when I was a young soldier, back in the late 90s, I had to apply because I was in financial strains to AER, and they helped me and my family out during that time of need. And I always said, if there's any organization that I count on that can take care of the soldiers, it's AER. So a great organization to be part of. I'm glad that you're heading it up. Hey, so let's go ahead and get started. I mean, I kind of broached the subject there with regards to loans and grants. Now, a lot of people may not know exactly what that means with AER, but there is a difference. Could you explain that to us?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Loans and grants.
Mhm.
One's a loan, you got to pay it back.
Yeah.
One's a grant, and sometimes I'd say they always paid it back. It's not always true. And the other one is just a grant. You need money, we gave you money, you don't have to pay it back, and it shouldn't be recorded on your taxes either. Just to remind everybody that we had a little issue once with PayPal where they were giving them a 1099 form, and it's like, no, grants from a nonprofit aren't taxable. So if you do get some kind of form like that from AER, kind of let us know. But loans, you got to repay. They're interest-free loans, so we don't make any profit. That's why we're a nonprofit. So those are interest-free loans, and they have to be paid back at a certain period of time. So loans are repaid without interest, and grants are donations to you as an individual.
It's an important difference, and a lot of people need to know that. I started off this segment talking about the government shutdown. Thankfully, they were able to find some money to be able to get some paid. Apparently, not everyone, from what I'm hearing, not everyone was able to either get their full mid-month pay or, depending if you're Guard Reserve. It's been difficult. So how many of these requests have you been getting since the shutdown began?
Well, we capped at 15,000 requests in 4 days. So it was pretty exciting last weekend. So first of all, we're not your grandfather's AER and back from 1990. So we've made a lot of changes. And one of those number one change, we have an online application. So we opened the online application that Thursday before, pay, and I think we had 112 applications in the beginning for about $36,000 or $360,000. I was like, oh, it's good. No problem. And then the whole system crashed.
Oh, man.
And then it came back up. And then at the end of that, we had 15,000 requests and $26 million in loans from assistance. So we've seen a huge volume. And we put all those in just a wait status, and then they got paid. And then anybody else that needs assistance, they can go back in. And if you still didn't get paid or something didn't go, we put those government shutdown on hold and doing other assistance. So we're still seeing a lot of requests for assistance, especially now, because I think people are just nervous, not just with the government shutdown.
As a follow-up, SMA Grinston, how are you? Is AER anticipating being able to meet the need as the shutdown continues? I mean, in an ideal world, it will end as soon as possible. But do you have any advice for soldiers and their families going forward as this continues?
Yeah, my best advice is don't worry. Let me do my job. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to meet that need. So let's start with that. Now that I'm putting a lot of faith in a lot of things, but we can do this. We're going to do it. and we're going to help. Now, if we had to do 2 to 3 pay periods, I'm going to have to ask friends for help. So, and I still have to ask friends for help. I'm going to be honest. So, this isn't a paid endorsement for any bank. So there's several banks that have come up and said, we'll give you a loan. So go to those first, and then save us for those banks that don't do that.
Mhm.
And that's where we had the 15,000 requests for assistance. So there are a lot of other banks that said, yeah, they'll help, but some of those actually were denied. And it's kind of interesting. We saw, because I was actually in there doing the assistance. I was like, what do you mean CEO? So yeah, everybody was in here for 14 hours working cases.
Wow.
15,000 requests is a lot, by the way. So I knew the routing number for certain banks. I knew that bank actually would provide a loan, but they had to do a credit check. So we found some banks were denying soldiers a loan, even though they had that offered, and they would come to us for assistance. And here's the one thing I said, and I'll say it right now, is that the people that were denied a loan because they had bad credit those are the ones that need it the most. So come to AER. If you're an active duty soldier, we're going to help you. So we're not running credit checks. We're not going to do that. We've never done that. We just don't do it anyway. The only thing we're asking you is prove that you're a soldier. We just don't want soldiers, who aren't soldiers. That's fraud. Coming to get assistance from AER. So it was so simple for a government shutdown. ID card, front and back, and a copy of your LES. Well, I told you we shut down the application. We had so many requests. Well, guess what? We crashed DFAS too.
You crashed DFAS.
So, yeah, the LES went, can't make this up. So you think about the panic I was in. So the system crashes, and then, you had to get that back up. So we crashed at 7. We got it at about 11. And then it was like, now DFAS, I can't get my LES. So that crashed. So I said, just take a picture of your bank statement with your mid-month pay. Because what we're going to do is we're going to pay mid-month. We're not going to pay part of it. We're going to pay all of it. But, we did see some people go, I want $6,000. Well, your mid-month was $1,500. So
Right.
That's the pay period you missed. So
Right.
if you need other assistance, apply for other assistance. But, the pay period you missed, that's what we're going to use. So we had to find some other workarounds because the LES went down. So ID card and LES, that's the only, and we got to pay you through a routing number and an ACH. So the other thing is how we're going to get you the money.
Right.
So, ID card and LES is, I don't know if I could make that any easier to apply. But yeah, we saw a bunch of fun stuff. It was great.
And 15,000 applications, I bet. And with that, so if anyone wants to donate to Army Emergency Relief to support soldiers and their families during the shutdown, where can they go? If they want to donate.
Yeah, one big word, armyemergencyrelief.org. And it's the same place you apply for assistance. Right in the middle of the screen will say assistance. You click on that. And if you'd like to donate, there's a little donate button right at the top. And you just click donate. It's pretty simple to donate to. So again, my number one concern is helping soldiers right now. So I want to do everything I can to make sure that they're ready. If I just don't want them to worry that we're not going to be here. So I don't need to run on the bank. I call it the COVID syndrome, right? It's like, oh my God, I need toilet paper. So I just bought, the whole house is full of toilet paper. So don't do that. So what I'm saying is have faith that AER is going to be here. If that pay doesn't hit, I've not exceeded what I can help people with so far. So depends on how long this goes. But like I said, with 15,000 requests, I'm fairly confident that we can meet the needs of what we had last time. So we're prepared to do that again on the 1st. So I do need some help at some point, but not with that. I'll tell you, hopefully that'll come up in a minute.
Yeah. So it's just so people know, it is Army Emergency Relief, but can other services, people in other branches of service, come to Army Emergency Relief for help? I know that there are other relief agencies that are out there, but What better than to
There's
ask
some
the person who's in
drawbacks to
charge.
having a motion sensor in your office is that when you don't move. Okay.
The
There it is. We'll go doom and gloom and light. Let's see. Hold on a second.
Oh no. Oh no.
All right.
You can edit that out as I.
Yeah, sure.
Army Emergency Relief does actually help other soldiers or other services if you're on a joint base. So if you walk into an office, an AER office, and you're an airman on, say, Fort Bragg, you're like Cologne Lopez, spent a lot of time on Bragg, and you need assistance, you can go to the AER office and you can get assistance through AER. Normally we want you to go to your own service, but we have an agreement with everybody, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk into any of those off locations, they'll help you out. But with us, we're online, so you really don't even have to go in the office.
Yeah.
It's all online. So the application is just go to the armyemergencyrelief.org. If you don't have an account with us and you think you might need help in the next week or so, go ahead and create an account. You don't even have to request assistance. But it's like I said, like any bank, you got an account with a bank, and if you ask them for a loan, they'll say, hey, you don't have an account with us. So it's the same thing with AER. Just get an account, and then when you need it, you can fill out the application.
Understood.
So you said you need help from other friends. What was it that you were getting at there?
Well, we could all solve this by, paying the soldiers. But when we get past one pay period, I would just have to, ask for donations because it's just going to be extremely painful as we go through this. But all our efforts right now is not, for donations. It's just making sure we alleviate some of that stress on the families. We don't need them to panic. So we're prepared to execute on probably about a day or so before the pay, just like your normal pay. So it'd take a couple of days. So I just don't need everybody to panic. If you've got the ability to survive a payday or two, please do so. But that's what I'd ask from the friends.
Yeah, this reminds me that this isn't the first government shutdown that you've weathered. In fact, during the first Trump administration, there was a 35-day shutdown, and so when you're leading troops like that, and back then, we were still in other places in the world, very contentious. Not to say that we're not now, but we were still in Afghanistan. We were still in places in Africa and very much at work fighting ISIS and Iraq. What are some words that you would offer to those service members and family members that just don't know what to expect?
Yeah, there's two things. I'll talk a little bit about the past shutdowns and why this one might be just a tad bit different. That's number one. And number two, message, what I would say to myself, because I've gone through this more than once. So after 36 years. So number one, the reason that this is a little bit different is, especially that last long one, they'd already passed the Pay Our Military Service Act. And so the military got paid. Now, government shutdown is still bad. There's a lot of people out there that are suffering. And I wouldn't take that light. There's GS employees. There's a lot of people that aren't working, not just the military. That's number one. But a little bit different than this one is that they didn't pass anything that says pay the military.
Right.
So that's why we're, why is AER all of a sudden being in such an urgency? Because in the past, it's going to happen. Here's this, you could see that where every news I've heard, I listened to WTOP on the way, and it was like, yep, they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have that. So those conditions are leading me to think that they're not going to pay them. Now, what I tell everybody is, again, like I already said, be sure that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you don't have to be in this panic. If you're really in need and you need something now, just call us, fill out the online application, go into that AER office that are worldwide all over the planet, or you can just use the help desk. So if you need something, you don't even have to fill out the government shutdown, and you need something emergency, go see us. That's number one I would tell everybody. Number two, as a soldier is, you've got a job to do, and I need you to stay focused doing that job. And I just need you to have faith that I'm going to do the best I can, and you shouldn't have to worry about your pay. Because there's a lot of things that can hurt soldiers in a second, and it's every day. If you don't pay attention, that tank, it runs you over, you're dead. If you not paying attention while you're flying a helicopter, you crash. I mean, everything the Army does, we just make it look so simple that people don't understand how difficult and how deadly almost everything the Army does. It's like everything. It's like, I don't know, you walk out, you're like, oh, that's so easy. It's like, yeah, that thing weighs 70 tons. It rolls 1 inch forward. It crushes you. And that's my biggest thing for the soldiers is rest, that we're going to do everything in our power. Please stay focused on your mission that you're doing right now. And I don't care where you're at, but we still got soldiers in Poland. We got soldiers in Syria. You got people in South Korea. You got people in Korea, not North Korea, still South Korea.
Yeah.
We got soldiers all over the place. Please stay focused on doing your mission. And I promise I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you don't have to worry about your pay.
So you brought up a good point about legislation not having been passed yet. And so with that, I want to pivot over to Joy because she works in our National Legislative Service. And one of the core competencies, if you will, of VFW is advocacy. And so Joy is the front and center. She covers our service member affairs portfolio. And she's been heavily involved in this since it started. And so, Joy, can you tell us a little bit about how VFW is participating in the advocacy space to help and ensure that our troops are getting paid?
Sure. Thanks, Brittany. And thanks, Sergeant Major. I just want to say thanks. I'm a retired Marine. And through my 23 years in my career, I did have to use the Navy and Marine Corps Relief Society a couple times. Not ashamed to say that. It's a wonderful resource for service members. So hats off to you for what you're doing. And thank you. And Brittany, the National Legislative Service of the VFW is paying very close attention to how this shutdown is affecting the military and veteran community, our families, survivors. Everybody seems to be affected by this. And the Sergeant Major did touch on that historically there is a bill that comes up every year to protect service members' pay from this kind of thing happening. Right now, that is called the Pay Our Troops Act in the House, and in the Senate, it's the Pay Our Military Act. They're joined bills. We would like very much to see these bills. The veteran and military support community would love to see these two bills make it through, and that would guarantee pay for our troops. But also they could pass the defense appropriations bill also, which would guarantee pay, for the year. And so we would like the Congress to do that to ensure pay for our troops. But we're hearing some troubling things. Like Rob mentioned, the active Guard and Reserve right now have missed a paycheck, and while this most recent paycheck they found the funding through DOD through taking funds from research and development, and then the Coast Guard also found a funding source to pay their troops. That doesn't guarantee anything going forward for this coming payday. So military families are still on heightened alert. Service members are, who are paid paycheck to paycheck, which is very common in the active ranks. It's a treacherous time for service members right now.
Now, last week you spoke at a press conference with many other military and veteran organizations, and you were quoted saying that this is a kitchen table issue for many military families.
Absolutely, 100%. This is a real issue. It's not hyperbolic to say that service members are in a pinch right now. It's expensive. It's expensive to just be an active duty service member. As many benefits as it seems like we do have, there's still childcare expenses. There's still like folks that are PCSing right now and in between duty stations are seeing loss of funding, and some of them are using personal credit cards to kind of help get them through, which is really unfortunate because now folks have to turn to relief societies. I mean, there's some good news in the space. TRICARE services should be running flawlessly. Exchanges and commissaries are ramping up services to try to help folks out. The military star card has recently,
I saw
in
that this
conjunction with the
morning.
commissary, rolled out a program where for 90 days beginning on October 1st, any purchases made at the commissary with your military star card for new and existing card holders, it's going to be zero interest on those purchases, which is very helpful. Military One Source is trying to step up the resources that they're offering for folks at all. Childcare is funded. Childcare CDCs are funded for 90 days, but that, if this drags on, it might be in jeopardy. They are a lot of CDCs individually, you'd have to check, but they're allowing payment deferrals, which is really helpful. But, these are short-term fixes, and we need a long-term fix. Unfortunately, some of the negative things that we're seeing is transition services. TAP courses they're suspended right now, which is problematic because that's where folks like the VFWs, veteran service officers, are able to go into those classes and help connect service members through the benefits delivery discharge process to help them file their claims so that they're connected with VA. And without those, our representatives and other representatives in those classes, a lot of service members are getting out without that important knowledge. VR for student veterans, the GI Bill hotline is shut down, unfortunately, and this is, going over into the veteran space. But they're VR and EAT counselors. If somebody's going to school on that program, the counselors are furloughed. So there's a lot of disruptions going on that are affecting our community, and passing legislation that would just alleviate that pressure and grant funding would be a great step for Congress to take to help resolve this heartbreak.
Absolutely. So going forward, it's ideally this, like you said, can be prevented permanently, a permanent solution to this. Because whether, a lot of people realize it or not, our service members are standing duty around the world 24/7, Coast Guard included, of course. And with our Reserve and National Guard forces being used at higher rates than they had been in past, it's a massive population that we need to consider. And Sergeant Major SMA Grinston, you mentioned that this is much bigger. This is much bigger than military. But we function in spaces and within our spans of control, and we do what we can do. And it's evident that everyone is stepping up to the plate to help in the ways that they are most capable of, that they're able to do. And that's really important. And is also a huge show of unity and the immense support behind the military community. The people who are, the outpouring of support, even at the grassroots level. I know that my VFW post, for instance, in Rhode Island, we knew, we have a local Coast Guard station. So at our last post meeting, we were, looking to see how we could help the local Coast Guard community. In case there was no solution in place for them to get paid, because they don't fall under the same umbrella that the rest of the services do. They fall under the Department of Homeland Security. So the outpouring of support from all organizations, nonprofits, and what have you has been tremendous. And I think that there's no shortage of stories there. And hopefully this becomes a thing of the past at some point, where we don't have to have these conversations anymore. That's the ideal. So, thank you both.
I do want to caveat one thing too, is what Joy was talking about is there's all these other things that people don't realize. And this is a true story, happened today. This is the phone call was, hey, I need a medical attendant. So a soldier has to go somewhere and he needs a surgery. He's flying tomorrow and he needs this. And if he doesn't get this, he may lose his leg. And his wife would be authorized to go with him. as a medical attendant. And there's no funds because this is a TDY for that spouse. So they, temporary duty that normally they would pot, it says medical attendant, they have the funds, they do that. That's not your pay. That's just this other thing you can't do. So we're stepping in all the ways. They literally called Charles, head of assistant police help with her. So I just want to be clear that even though they did get paid, there are some still other issues that you may need to call with childcare, and we help with all that. So I just, it just really, when Joy said that, there's a whole bunch of things that didn't or aren't getting paid because there is no appropriations, even though they found money for pay. If there's other things that people need assistance with, please call us.
No, I think one of the other things, transition, my goodness, those that are trying to get out of the military right now. I mean, I remember how tough it was for me during COVID and nobody was there to answer the phone because everybody was in Fort Living Room. And I was trying to get out myself. I'm almost 5 years retired now. And that was a tough time. So I can't imagine. It's like, okay, yeah, you got your pay, but what about all the other services? Joy, I'm going to go to you on this. We're talking about, before we got in the segment, we're talking about all these different services for transition that may not be available because of the funding. Is there anything available? I know that you had brought some things that are still going on, at least maybe some hope for those that are transitioning out of the service.
Well, I would say that, it's hard. Yes, the actual TAP courses are not being conducted, but those service officers that are on bases are still, the offices are open if the service members can get there. It's just that they're not getting the direct outreach from those service officers. And the VFW has quite a few service officers on bases around the country, but so do other organizations, and county and state VSOs are in those courses. But without receiving that knowledge, they just don't know, and we're in fear of them leaving the service. And research has shown that service members that depart and don't connect with the VA within the first year are unlikely to ever circle back and connect with VA. And it's not just about compensation and pension and disability. It's about the whole array of benefits they've earned that VA offers, and just that connection to VA. The home loan guarantees, the education benefits, all of the benefits. If they don't get that connection during transition, a lot of them will get away from the service and disconnect entirely, and that's a shame. It really is.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And we're getting close to time here. I will say that they just wrapped up here in DC. They just wrapped up the Association of the United States Army annual meeting and exposition. And I know that AER was in full representation there, and it was all about getting the word out. And so it's a perfect opportunity for us to continue with sharing this, get this information out to service members, especially those soldiers that are, and all the rest of the service members that are getting out to get this information. So I'm going to give it over to you, SMA Grinston. What do you want to leave us with?
Well, you probably heard me say several times already, is that please stay focused on your mission. You got important things to do, and we need you to be there to do that, because you never know what's going to happen today, tomorrow. And I can say that there is a lot of organizations, not just AER, that are out there that want to help you. And just please to all those know that we are here to help you. The number one thing I want to leave everybody with is you have to ask for help. And there's no shame in that. And I've said this worldwide for 2 years now. You shouldn't be afraid to ask for behavioral health, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask for help financially. But I find that same stigmatism with behavioral health is the same stigma I find with financial help. And it's all ranks. All ranks. I've had, in those 15,000 requests, there is 06 E9 envelope. And it's like, what? You got '06? '06, E9 and below have requested assistance from AER. And I was adamant that's like, there's no rank requirements for this. If you need help, come to us. But I find is that the higher the ranks, the more they need help. They're not in, like a $10 hole. It's they got a massive hole. And people just anguish and imagine that shame. And people have done it to me. I said, yeah, we're going to help these, folks. And it's like, what do you mean? There's no 6 out there that needs help. That's just terrible. Well, that's the attitude that we don't need. And that's what I would share with everybody. If you need assistance, it is not shameful. Sometimes bad things happen to good people and you're in a bad situation, and don't be afraid to ask for help. You can call me, and the other day I gave out my email. It's michael.grinston@aerhq.org. That is my email. Nobody else's. Doesn't go anywhere. So I don't need everybody to send me an email, but I put that out because I don't want people to be afraid to ask for help. And I will not shame you. I will not say anything other than I will do everything I can to help you. And thank you for doing this.
Well, that's wonderful.
Wow.
Joy Craig, thanks for being on with us. As always, SMA Grinston, CEO of Army Emergency Relief. SMA, thank you for joining us. Really important. We're going to do our best to get this information out to troops and those that are families in need. And will you come back on the show sometime?
Yeah, sure.
That would be
Throw
awesome.
some fastball hard questions at me, or something.
Yeah, we'll try and get some more hardball questions for you next time.
Oh yeah, I had one. I went to pre-command course, and they said first question. I called it a fastball inside and at my head or something. So I don't shy away. I'd love to be back on. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much, SMA Grinston. And thank you so much as well, Joy. Really appreciate your time.
Really love that segment. That was really good, especially with regards to the update to the legislative stuff. Joy Craig, our colleague over at the Washington office, really brought it home. Sorry, Joy. I think I should have maybe said something like allowing you to have your last word as well. But hey, the thing is that we're going to have Joy back on and to talk about a lot of stuff. Her being part of the team, she's really keeping her ear to the ground when it comes to the military, our active guard and reserve members. So what's your thoughts about that last segment?
So I loved it. I mean, I was really excited to, as I mentioned before, I was really excited to be able to get to know Sergeant Major of the Army Grinston, and so I'd never spoken with him in the past, and I just came away from that with a sense of, just unwavering support for his military family, the military family.
Right.
It's like he still considers the soldiers of today's Army to be his soldiers, and he's standing by to help them in the best way that he possibly can right now in the state of things as they are.
I think what was really great, and you bring up this about the soldiers of today, that's as we say in New England, irregardless of rank, right?
Right,
Regardless
yes.
of rank. And that he said it doesn't, to take the stigma away from asking help for
Yes.
financially. That was like the first time I think I've ever heard, we talk about taking the stigma away for asking help for, when you're enduring behavioral health and mental health and that sort of thing. But financial health?
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard anybody speak to that, especially for the senior ranks, senior enlisted, and for those even to the field grade officers of 06. That's, to me, I think that's new ground to break, and maybe worth a discussion in the future.
I think so, and so I'm really excited to have Joy back on because, we had a limited amount of time. SMA Grinston is extremely busy, and so we only had a short period of time. But we can bring Joy back on, and I want to do a specific episode talking about service member issues, service member challenges, and Joy's very well versed in that space because something she said is, well, I know VFW is really invested in removing the stigmas of
Yeah.
help, help seeking, whether you're a service member or family member, or veteran or family member of a veteran. And, I really appreciated SMA Grinston's perspective of eliminating that stigma of asking for help.
Yeah.
And Joy, I think, really illustrated an important point that during the shutdown, past shutdowns, hopefully a shutdown never happens again. Hopefully that legislation can get passed so that this is a discussion of the past.
Yeah.
And but she's right in that it is a kitchen table issue. And I think she and SMA Grinston illustrated it really well that, there are a lot of second order effects
Mm-hmm.
of this. Not having a paycheck is one thing, but it's much larger than that.
Oh yeah. Transition was a
you
big
know,
one. That's
transition's a big one.
Mhm.
This could have people who are missing transition right now, this may have been their only opportunity to go to TAP,
Oh yeah.
which is the Transition Assistance Program. This could have been their only opportunity to go. People are supposed to, by law, go to TAP at least a year in advance. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen for a large amount of them, even though they're supposed to, because mission takes precedent or what have you. And so, unfortunately, too many end up, going at the last minute. And if this was the last minute for them, they may get out of the military without any transition support. So, what does that look like? What are the cascading effects there? Is there, what if they're, what if they have a family member with special needs and they're not able to properly get transitioned to other healthcare? Whether especially if they're retirees, hopefully they can move on and still maintain TRICARE for life or what have you. But there's all sorts of implications here that are not front and center on the news.
Right.
So I loved that segment, and hopefully we never have to talk about that again. But I feel like it was the start of some really valuable discussions.
It's absolutely a start of real valuable discussions. And, sometimes those things are out of our control.
They are.
As much as we can for advocacy, for people to donate to great organizations like AER, VFW, those organizations that have.
Yeah, Navy Marine Corps Relief Society,
exactly.
the service organizations, this is their job. They're standing by to help in times of need. And this is exactly,
Yeah. So let's go ahead and transition to our next segment where we talk about healing in a productive and healthy way, and be able to show a little camaraderie. And I think this is when you need that good news, when you looking for that event to kind of be with others, what better than this upcoming event, the Warrior Yomp. So let's go get into our next segment. Okay, so I'm glad for this segment to be able to have two fantastic people with us to talk about their individual portfolios, if you will. I mean, it is fall time after all. And for a lot of people, they either go out there for some kind of marathon. In DC, we just had the Army 10 miler. The Marine Corps marathon is going to be coming up here in a little while. But it's the time for people to get out, to get hiking, but most importantly, to do things together. So joining us here in the studio is Dr. Kelly Brown from the Allied Forces Foundation and Kimberly Pond from Irreverent Warriors DC chapter. Ladies, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So first of all, we have a little thing that's coming up here right before Veterans Day. And it's called the Warrior Yomp. Now, people may be going, what does that mean, Warrior Yomp? So we're going to get into that in a moment. But I want to talk a little bit about each one of you, and kind of get a little idea of where you are in all this, how you came to be in your service. So, Dr. Brown, let's start with you. Tell us how you got involved with the Allied Forces Foundation.
So I was 26 years in the Army as a Black Hawk helicopter pilot and strategist. And during one of my assignments, I had the privilege of serving with CW5 Phyllis Wilson, who I know is a friend to everyone here.
There is, life member of the VFW.
Yes. And she told me about this amazing thing called Allied Forces Foundation and how they would take wounded, ill, and injured service members, not only from the U.S., but our partner nations, and they do this amazing, 54-mile hike through the Scottish Highlands in 24 hours. And it seemed like such an extreme event, but that's right up my alley. And so when I retired in 2001, I called up AFF and I was like, I really want to do this thing, but I wasn't sure if I was wounded enough. Because, we always think of our visibly wounded service members. And though many of us, the vast majority of us, have internal injuries, we just never feel like we've done enough. But AFF welcomed me. They said, nope, trust me, you're broken enough, come with. And it was such a moving event that as soon as we finished, I said, I need to do more. I want to be a part of it. So I joined the board. And then a few short years later, I am now the chairman of that board and really trying to push forward supporting our wounded, ill, and injured service members, both from the U.S. and our partner nations.
That's fantastic. Full disclosure, when I was in uniform, by the way, you said 2001. You retired in 2001 or 2020?
21.
Okay,
21.
all right.
Ooh,
I was about to say,
Yeah.
oh my
Boy, I'm
God,
not the
you
best.
retired that long ago? Whoa.
Oh, sorry.
What is your routine in the morning?
No, 21.
Still look great though. Hey, look, so here's the thing. When I was in uniform, 2017 and 18, people know I was in the office of the SEAC, Office of Senior Enlisted Advisor, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and we went to do that as well. We went to go do the hike. Now, I only made it to the bronze level, which is like 22 miles, and that was good. At the time, I was coming off back surgery in 17 and 18. I guess I just didn't have an excuse, but other than being lazy. But I tell you what, it is something when you're coming up over the top of that mountain and the rain's coming this way and it's cold in the middle of June and you're like, oh my gosh. But then you see a brother, a sister that's wounded or injured or ill, and they are right alongside of you. And they're just heading for it. Some of them missing limbs, some of them burn victims, some of them just like, oh my gosh, like so inspiring to be there, and just gives you the courage to get through to the next step. So I take it that you did a little bit more than the bronze level.
So I went in and it was 54 nothing. And so I did all 54 miles, but it was a struggle, and it really took, I had one of our fellow board members now, Miley, walked with me for the entire route, and then Neil Smith came on and he took me silver to bronze or silver to gold, and it's such an emotional experience. I was saying earlier that you always see people that finish these long endurance events and they get all emotional and they get teary-eyed, and you think, what? Why? No, it's real. You cross that finish line and you raise your hands and you don't even realize you're doing it, and then you just feel all the emotion. And it was such a spectacular event, and it really is, it's healing and freeing in ways that you don't even recognize, especially the conversations you have. It's a long 24 hours.
Yeah.
And you talk to a lot of people along the way, and all of that is what's healing and bonding. And it was such an amazing event that, yes, I'm so proud to be formally part of the organization now.
That's wonderful. When we talk about healing and we're getting out, when you're going through endurance, I want to go over to Kim. Kim, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about your service, how you got involved with Irreverent Warrior. And then also when we talk about that healing, that togetherness and going about that, tell us how that really encapsulates Irreverent Warrior and what Warriors and what you all do.
Okay, so I came to Irreverent Warriors with 17 years of service in the Air Force. I got out in 2012. I was a PAVHOC crew chief for combat rescue up in Alaska. So had a very fun time in the military. I say that with a smile because it really was fun. I got involved with Irreverent Warriors in 2000. I would say 18 or 19. I honestly can't remember which year. And it was being taken to my first hike by one of my friends that was a Marine. And she'd been to it, and she didn't tell me what it was about because she thought I might not go. And so I kind of got surprised with the Halloween themed hike, and I've been hooked ever since. And I've been able to take over. I took over the DC chapter early last year and have been continuing at least the DC chapter and the hikes and stuff that we have. With Irreverent Warriors, how the healing and everything rolls into us is we are a peer-to-peer support network. So when we have our hikes, we have our volunteer base, but the actual hike element is reserved for veterans only. And that allows veterans to get together, and we may know each other, we may not know each other, but it gives us the comfort level and the security to know that we are amongst other veterans that have been through similar situations and understand the feelings that we feel as veterans, whether it's being, in a combat zone, being shot at, suicidal, being away from our families, all of the things. It's people that have been through it as well and have that full understanding. And when you provide that type of safe environment, it's amazing once you can open up and you're being heard, how healing that is, because it pulls people out of isolation, because then they're like, okay, well, we had this event. At the end of my events, I've got people asking when's the next event because they want to come out. And sometimes that is all that they're doing to start, is just coming to Irreverent Warrior events. And then they start coming out and making friends and hanging out with other people, and it brings them out of their shell.
So Kimberly, I love that. So you and I've never met before, and so I'm thrilled to finally have this opportunity to speak with somebody from Irreverent Warriors. No VFW has, we have a relationship with Irreverent Warriors now, which is fantastic, because mental health is health, and VFW and I know Irreverent Warriors and more of the veteran community are coming together to destigmatize what it means to be to have mental wellness and to speak up when you're not okay. Dr. Brown, you put it well. You weren't sure if you were disabled enough, and a lot of people. I don't think there's enough discussion. We're working to change it, right? But I don't think there's enough discussion around what invisible wounds are, whether they're physical or mental or what have you. But they're very real, and myself included. The first time I learned about Irreverent Warriors was in DC when I moved to DC like 4 years ago or so. And I was in downtown and I was exploring, and before I know it, I see this like gaggle of people in combat boots and silkies. And I was like, what is going on here?
It's happening again this weekend, actually.
I'm so sad I'm not there because I really want to be part of it. I've only had the opportunity to do one hike. And after I saw it, it was a gigantic group. And I was thrilled because it was all about mental wellness and showing up for each other and normalizing talking about mental health and destigmatizing and just, your like battle buddy support, after service. And so I was so thrilled to see that. I sought out a hike for myself. And so I drove to Philadelphia and I participated in one. And, I'm pretty broken as well. My service, I had to leave service. I was medically discharged because of my hips and a couple surgeries that didn't help me. And so the Navy was like, well, there's the door, sorry. And so, I went as far as I could in that hike. And I think that also speaks, Dr. Brown, to what you were saying. It's like, well, is this even something I can accomplish? And I love that there was no pressure for me to, do the whole hike if I, wasn't able to do it. There's no shame in it. It was just such a supportive atmosphere. And I know that this is kind of just like my monologue here, and I apologize, but these are such important programs for veterans to come together and do with one another, because that support is needed. I have a friend that I served with in Afghanistan in 2012, and Reverent Warriors is a primary source of her post-service camaraderie and wellness. And I'm not going to name names, but I know that she's not alone. And so I love the through line between Irreverent Warriors and Allied Forces Foundation, and I'm thrilled to have you both here with us today to talk about it. And to follow on to that question, so other folks like me who learn about Irreverent Warriors and Allied Forces Foundation, I was wondering if you could both take a moment to talk about how veterans can get involved in each of your programs.
Yeah, well, let's start with Kim. That would be great.
Sure. Yes. Thank you.
So for us, what we do is, come to some of our events. Do that to start to get involved because what we like is we like people to be, coming to our events to kind of get a feel for what our culture is, what our mission is, and make sure it's kind of a right fit and that they're feeling that. Once that's done, there is, they can volunteer with any team. Like I always look for volunteers for my team. They can, whatever hike they go to, they can talk to the local coordinator or anybody on the team and say, hey, how can I get involved? How can I help? And we'll talk to them more about, how they want to help, and we'll kind of guide them in the right direction. And then there's a process where they just go through the website and they put in a volunteer application. And then, we work with them to place them where they are going to be best suited and where they're comfortable. So we do open it up to all of that. They don't necessarily have to go through that process just to be part of a hike support team. But if they wanted to be part of the bigger picture, they would need to. But if they just want to support the local chapter, just say, hey, I'm available to, what can I do? How can I help? And they'll get pulled onto a team in a heartbeat.
That's
love it.
excellent.
It is.
For Kim, I think that's what's really great is, you just talked about this coming weekend. They have one. You guys have something. But the reason why the two of you are on is because Irreverent Warrior and the VFW are joining together to help Allied Forces Foundation support them in the upcoming Warrior Yomp. And we kind of I made mention of that earlier. So this is the opportunity, right, Dr. Brown, for if people are in the DC area right before Veterans Day, right? Come on
We
board.
want you.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about it.
I love
Yeah,
it.
so YOMP stands for Your Own March Pace. YOMP, Your Own March Pace. So the unique thing about the Warrior Yomp is that it's not a race. It's not, there are no prizes for finishing first or fastest. It's just, there are medals if you make different distances, but it's really the journey along the road and the folks that you talk to that really is what makes it special. So on November 8th, starting at Bellhaven Picnic Area, we will gather, we have representatives not only from the US, but we have Canada, Germany, Denmark, Ukraine, and then a couple others that are the UK. Lots of folks in the UK, our Royal Marine friends are all coming in. And then we have plenty of just your average person. The unique thing about our YOMP here in the US is that you do not have to be military to do this thing. So we welcome family members, friends. If you've never even had anything to do with the military and you just want to try to do a long distance event, because this is really our sort of like Marine Corps Marathon, Army 10 miler, in the sense that this is our big fundraising event so that we can support folks. Every June, we take a large team over to Scotland for the thing that you and I, the 54 miles that we both did. So that's what it is. And the unique thing is just our motto is fight together, heal together, side by side. As Kim said, you have unique experiences in the military that you just can't relate to anyone else unless you've been through that. So we do that side by side. And part of that is we want to amplify all of the other organizations like the VFW, like Irreverent Warrior, because in our mind, none of the veteran support groups, we never compete against each other. We all support each other and we all have different niches. And if my niche isn't what someone needs at this time, then I'm going to introduce you to my friends. One of them will have that need. So the other exciting thing we have is on Friday, the 7th of November, we do packet pickup. That will be at the Military Women's Memorial. See Phyllis, she's everywhere, team. But we are going to have all of our supporting veteran organizations there, like Irreverent Warrior, like VFW, so that they can talk about their programs and what they do. So it just spotlights and amplifies not only their mission, but it also offers these resources to folks. So whether you're signed up or not, you're certainly welcome to come to the Military Women's Memorial between noon and 5 on Friday the 7th. Check out what all these amazing organizations have. And then more importantly, sign up and join us at the Warrior Yomp. It's not too late to register. You can go right on our website, alliedforcesfoundation.org. You can sign up to Yomp live and in person. We also have a virtual Yomp So if you're like, hey, this is a great thing, but I'm not really sure I can get out there and do the distance, that's fine. You sign up, you're a supporter. We will send you a medal and a t-shirt for however far you think you want to go. You can do that 1 mile a day, 1 mile over months, it's up to you. That's totally fine. And or you can volunteer. We're still taking volunteers. We're happy to have you along the way to support our yompers.
What time does it start on the 8th? What time in the morning?
So we will kick off first yomper at 8 o'clock in the morning, but we'll do some opening ceremonies. We have representatives from the commanders that are coming down to be with us as well.
Oh,
Lots of
Washington Commanders?
Washington
Oh,
Commanders
no kidding.
is a partner of the Yomp.
Awesome.
We are super excited to have them be around. So, and lots of other surprises. You will have if you participate, you get a digital passport. And some of our checkpoints are at the embassies. So one of our early checkpoints right there by VFW headquarters is the Canadian embassy.
Right.
Yep. So we will literally folks will be at and in Canadian embassy, the Danish embassy, the UK embassy, Ukrainian embassy, and then our German partners are going to man the silver stop in Lock House 6 along the C&O Canal. So this is truly a very exciting international sort of feel to it. And it's just a fun event. And unlike Scotland, it's flat.
It's flat.
For the very most part. You're not hiking up that hill to Glenshee. It's really friendly. And even last year we did a proof of concept. Our very slowest person who did all 50 miles did it in about 20 hours. And so no one needed the whole, which if you need the whole 24, that's okay. But it's an easier event than you might think based on the numbers.
So what about people that have adaptive needs, amputees, those people that might be bound by something like maybe they need a wheelchair or need some kind of assistance? Can they still participate?
Yeah, so it's not, unfortunately, all of the route is not wheelchair friendly, but we have several of our participants are amputees. And so that part is well supported. And there's lots of checkpoints along the way. So even yourself, you get that, once you get that blister, there's nothing you can do, right? It feels so bad. So we have lots of support along the way, lots of checkpoints, lots of places where if you need assistance, we got you covered.
I think it's a great opportunity for VFW posts that want to get a team together to go into this. That would be really great. Irreverent Warrior Kim. Now, I know you guys are going to be manning a checkpoint. You're going to be fielding a team as well?
We're not going to be fielding a team this year.
Okay.
And a lot of that is just because of how close it is to some of our events right now. But I am definitely going to look into fielding a team next year. If we do this, so be able to get that information out and get a team. But yeah, no, we're excited to partner. I know my team's excited to come out and man the stop and everything. So we're happy to be there.
I mean, if you wanted to do it and in silkies, by all means do it. Just make sure you have something for the chafe, because oh my goodness, 50 miles in silkies is not something I would be looking forward to. So flat, so that's really great. Plenty of opportunities for people to get out there on the course. And you could go online and check out what the course is. Am I correct?
Yep. It's all online. AlliedForcesFoundation.org has all the information. And the nice thing too is we don't require any specific type of uniform or dress code. You wear whatever is comfortable for you. There's no requirement to wear a backpack or a rucksack. You want to maybe a little bit of water or some snacks, but we feed you along the way. We provide all your extra support. We do drop bag service, just like even better, I would say, than some of the other events where we will take your clothing and stuff and your shoes forward for you so you don't carry that on your back, because throughout the day, the weather changes. Maybe you want to change some stuff out. So we really have a lot of support, and it's a friendly environment, and the people you'll meet along the way just make all the difference.
And Kim, if people want to learn more about Irreverent Warrior or they're in the DC area, what's the best way that they can find that information out from you?
They can go to irreverentwarriors.com, and then if they go into a city search, they can go in and look for DC, or any of the cities that we have chapters at.
It's fantastic. A great partnership between the VFW and Reverent Warrior, Grunstyle Foundation. Really great to have that. And then me personally being an alumnus of of Allied Forces Foundation. Am I right, Brittany? Alumnus?
I
Am I
think
right?
so. Like, I was just actually looking this up a few weeks ago. Alumni, I think, applies to everyone. I think alumna is women and
Oh, really?
alumnus is men. Is that? I hope I have that correct. I don't
An
know.
alum.
An alum. I like alum. Let's just
Alum.
shorten it.
Just to lump it together.
Yeah.
So
lump it.
yeah, of Allied Forces Foundation, I'm glad that the VFW Washington office is going to be there to support as well. So really looking forward to it. Again, we're going to have the bib pickup and the expo that happens on November 7th at the Women's Memorial. And that goes up until 5 o'clock. Is that what you said? Till 5 o'clock?
Noon until 5 p.m.
Noon to 5 p.m. And then from 8 to 9, I'm sorry, from the 8th to the 9th,
Yep.
from 8 a.m., kickoff at Bellhaven Park, correct? Did I say that right?
Bellhaven picnic area. Yep.
Picnic area. Where's that near exactly? Is that
It
Great
is-
Point?
It is just south of Old Town Alexandria. So we're
Okay.
Wilson
Okay.
Bridges. It's like 2 miles at most, maybe 1.5 down there.
Okay, so yeah, so close to Old Town Alexandria, and
Very
then
close.
boom,
Nice.
you get to stepping. And I'll tell you, it's really great because you have all these people along the way interacting with our allies. Some of us haven't, we haven't been in contact with some of our veteran allies from Afghanistan and Iraq since Afghanistan and Iraq. And so to partner with them and learn about their stories, their struggles, hey, learn about what they get from you'd be surprised about what the benefits and care that we get here in the United States for the the VA system, and overseas it's not the same. So but really great to be able to do that and walk alongside them, and camaraderie. Our veteran community is international, that's for sure, and I'm really happy that we could be a part of it, and that you all joined us here for the podcast to talk a little bit about your organization. So thanks again. Before we go, I'm going to go ahead and give it to each one of you to give us your last thoughts. Kim?
I would say that we were glad to partner with this event. Anybody that wants more information, that's going to be there. We are going to be at one of the checkpoints between 3:30 and 11:45 p.m. I will be there personally the entire time, and then my team will be swapping out. So we're just glad to partner and offer another type of support.
Excellent. And hopefully it's warm enough that silkies will be all right. Yeah.
I
hope
will
so.
be in my silkies.
No matter what. True hardcore.
No matter what, I will be in my silkies.
Maybe
Awesome.
some thermals underneath for
yeah.
the colder hours.
Yes.
Maybe.
I'm from Alaska originally, so
Oh, well,
yeah.
okay.
You're like, no, I'm good.
All
I
right.
got it.
Like that too easy. Dr. Kelly Brown, what about you?
So first and foremost, Rob, thank you so much, you and Brittany, for having us on here. We really appreciate this, and we appreciate the amplification. And so we're all about that. We have lots and lots of partners like VFW and Irreverent Warrior, and they are all listed on our website as well. So when you go on there, you can click and see, we talked about before, it takes a village to support our wounded veteran community, and it does. And so, but if you're at all interested, the Warrior Yomp is an amazing event. It's just the experience, whether you come out and you do 1 mile, you do all 50 miles, it's really worth it. Sign up today, tell your friends, tell their friends. It's not too late. By all means, come out, support, and then come see what we do. And we're happy to have you. And we'll see how it goes. It's the nicest way to kick off that Veterans Day weekend. A stroll through Virginia, DC, and Maryland. It doesn't get any better.
A nice 50-mile stroll.
A nice 50-mile stroll.
An easy breezy walk, through our nation's capital.
Sounds great. Well, thanks again to
I
the
love
two
it.
of you, and
Yes.
appreciate it, and look forward to see you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Well, that was a great conversation. I'm glad we had those two ladies on. People may notice that a little bit different. Like, what's going on with the video there? So, I guess it's talk about relevant. Like that AWS, that Amazon Web Services outage that happened, that affected not only like all these different platforms that are out there, but also the platform that we were using to do this virtual interview. And
Yes.
so that kind of crapped the bed, and we ended up jumping over to Zoom, which by the way is also on the Amazon Web Service. So
Yes.
I don't know, like you can't
Yeah.
win sometimes.
No, I mean, we adapt and overcome. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
What I say this before, Semper Gumby, as you know, we always say, always, flexible.
Always flexible.
It endures.
I tell you what, it can't last forever, so maybe it'll get fixed during this time. But in the meantime, I think it's something to look forward to. If people are in the DC, if you're in Northern Virginia, DC area, Maryland, come on out to the Warrior Yomp, to the expo that's going to be on the 7th at the Women's Memorial, and then the Yomp that's going to take place just south of, I think she said just south of Old Town Alexandria, Bell Park, I believe is what it was called, at 8 a.m. So they can go to the website for the Allied Forces Foundation to find out more information on that. And that was great segment, huh?
It sure was. I really enjoyed having Dr. Kelly Brown on from Allied Forces, and then also Kimberly Pond from Irreverent Warriors. I think that was a fantastic matchup.
Yeah.
I love how aligned they are.
Well, I wasn't say surprising. I think it's kind of aligned and like they have similar values. So as far as organizations go, so it worked out.
It did. It really did. And I really love I really love the aspect of camaraderie and healing and togetherness and just, enjoying nice strolls, whether they're 2 miles or 50
or
plus
50
miles.
I tell you what, I have been thinking
together.
I'm not sure if I'm going to tackle the 50. I may do the 22. I have not been training, so I can't promise anything, but I'll definitely be there to support. That's for sure.
I would definitely be open to riding like maybe a golf cart for that length, but like at a really slow pace, of course. Like I wouldn't want to, outpace anyone. Right. So, but then it can also act as like a, like a little rest. I don't know.
Sure. Would you drive around the deuce and a half and to pick up all the stragglers that go in the back? I don't know if you remember that.
Maybe we should enlist one of those. Now I'm thinking about barbecue.
Oh yeah, Mission Barbecue. Those trucks to go behind. Like, oh man, I tell you what, I'm tapping out early.
What a motivated! Oh, what if they came out and like they were driving their truck as they're smoking like meat?
Just trailing behind with smoking meat. Oh man.
What a motivator to get to that finish line. Okay, like going to the grocery store on empty stomach. We shouldn't talk about barbecue on empty stomachs.
Yeah, maybe not.
But sorry, that was a tangent. But yes, it was a fantastic that was a great discussion, and I'm thrilled to interact with them more and get the word out about the wonderful programs that they run.
Yeah.
Because I think that they're as I mentioned during that segment, a friend of mine that I served with in Afghanistan, that's a huge part of her, of her life. I see all the time on social media, she's posting she's at another hike, and which is awesome. It's really motivating about how committed she is to supporting her fellow veterans through the Irreverent Warrior hike specifically. And one day, I hope that I can participate in one of the Yomps through Allied Forces Foundation. I would love to go back to Scotland. I visited last year, and it was a pretty quick trip, but I didn't really get a chance to go out into the Highlands, and experience that. So I know that would be a wonderful experience. So maybe one day, hopefully.
Maybe one day. Well, hey, look, so we're wrapping this thing up, but before we go, I think it's important for people to know what we got coming up, right? So I'm heading off to MCon in Las Vegas, which is a big veteran / military conference. Again, Las Vegas, going to be supporting the National Commander, Carol Whitmore, who's going to be doing a fireside chat with the Honorable Patrick Murphy. And also the VFW Washington office, Ryan Gallucci, is going to be out there talking about advocacy. So that'll all be on Thursday, I will come back with a good report. I'll definitely tell you that much.
I'm certain.
So that'll be part of our next segment. And then we have other things coming up. I know that, there was a good amount of people that really enjoyed when we had Representative Van Orden on. So we're looking at other representatives.
We are.
Put it out there, and some people are interested. So fingers crossed.
Yes, we do have more interest. So I'm really excited to line that up, and TBD on when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stand by.
So, and then of course with the Yomp and what we do there, we'll have those as part of the discussions. Lots of things going on for the Washington office. Oh, and yes, and also for people to think about, the Army-Navy game is going to be coming up December, right?
December. I don't remember the date offhand, but I know there's going to be a very large tailgate happening.
I think that could be an opportunity for us, because Rhode Island's going to be coming down, I think, or here in Baltimore. I think that's going to be something really worthwhile. So anyway, for those people out there watching the podcast, plenty of those things are coming your way in future episodes, and I will work my best to get back into a studio of sorts, so that way we have a little bit better continuity and be able to have our fellow directors back in the studio with us.
Yes. So this is nice. So what we're gonna have to. I think this is gonna be I think it's a positive shift.
Yeah.
We don't have our old room anymore. But, like to see the silver lining and things. And so this affords us more opportunity to bring in other guests that maybe we wouldn't have an opportunity to do, physically in the studio. So this is a really exciting prospect.
All right.
I'm excited about it.
Safe
travels, Rob.
What was that?
Safe travels.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And for all you out there, thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube. That's the pro tip for you. You can watch it on your smart TV if you want to, or on your cell phone. Until next time, I'm Rob Couture, and
I'm Brittany Dymond Murray.
And you've been listening to Still Serving, the VFW podcast. And remember, when it comes to the VFW, we are still serving. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Still Serving, the VFW podcast. To get the latest news and information from the veterans of foreign wars, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe to us on social media at VFW HQ, on Facebook at VFW Fans, or visit our website at vfw.org.